Hi, this is Michael Schumacher speaking to you live from inside the Mercedes F1 simulator. You're listening to Gareth Jones on Speed. Welcome to Gareth Jones on Speed with Richard Porter.
Hello.
Zog.
Hello.
And I'm Gareth, and I can't believe that we have got 130-something episodes into this programme without ever having played this game, and I can't take the credit for inventing this game myself. Somebody asked me on Twitter the other day, and if you aren't following either Sniff Petrol or Gareth Jones TV on Twitter, or the mysterious Zog, whose identity will remain a secret.
To be confirmed.
Let's not go there with Twitter right now. I'm trying to get over my problem with Twitter, but
we're working on it for you, as promised.
I'm in therapy.
Anyway, the greatest of questions you could ask any petrolhead is, what would be in your ideal garage? That's what I was asked. I gave the lads 10 minutes to construct this. There were no real rules. One of them can be a fantasy car. Just go with what's in your head at the moment. Zog.
I'm sure you both had the same thing, where it's like picking a list of favourite films or your favourite. You just can't decide.
Best girlfriends. Yeah.
So the list will have changed in half an hour. But right now, I think my fantasy garage will be something like this. I'm going to have a Mercedes 450 SEL 6.9, the classic late 70s super saloon.
Do you know what's going to happen?
And that's actually surprisingly affordable car.
Everyone else is going to remember things they left off it.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad I'm going first.
What year?
Probably 76, 77.
This is your number one choice out of your list. Why?
Okay, well, it's because we could go into one or two movie connections, but that apart, it's the most fantastic Mercedes-Benz luxury and style at, I think, its best, combined with an overwhelming assault of engineering clout that enables that lovely, luxurious saloon to blitz round a racetrack at ridiculous speed.
And the expression Q car is bandied around sometimes. I think that Merc may have invented the idea of the Q car.
I think so, yeah.
Very, very normal looking. I always wonder whether they call it the 350 SEL and then 6.9 as an afterthought. Sorry, 450.
But there was a 300 SEL 6.3 or something as well.
There was, wasn't there? Yes, sorry, I'm getting them all mixed up. But I wonder whether they put the 6.9 as an afterthought and as a different badge so you could prize it off again and people would never know.
And I believe some people did.
I bet they did.
Yeah, some people did debadge it, and that would be good. So, that's my number one choice. Number two, this is a surprisingly accessible one. I'd have probably a 1971 Volvo P1800E. My reasoning here, quite a while back, I had a 1965 Volvo P1800S, which I got because I just thought it was the most beautiful shape. This lovely classic 60s sports car coupe shape.
This is the Saints car.
Yeah, the original. Yeah, exactly. A Roger Moore Saint. And it doesn't go anything like as quick as it looks, but it's a really nicely
stylish,
it's a beautiful car. I loved that car when I had it. Yeah, and I'm going for the E rather than the S because the E has the fuel injected engine rather than carbureted engine, and it's got the disc brakes all round rather than.
Is it a shooting brake?
No. No, because
not the S.
No, but because although some people really like the look of the ES. No, the ES is the estate / shooting brake version, which some people, particularly Gareth, as you can tell, do go for. But I like the coupe. So there we go. Volvo 1800E, and I'm going with a slightly later one. So I've got the disc brakes and the fuel injected engine.
Nice. Go on.
Okay, number three. Of course, I have to have a Porsche 550 Spider. I'll probably go for the RS.
Would it be silver, sir?
Of course it would be silver. I mean,
would it have a stripe, sir?
I don't think I have to justify this choice. Anyone who's ever seen one would
try and avoid the Paso Robles area of California if you can. I gather those cars don't go so well around there.
Fair point. Number four, I'm going to have a Ford GT40.
Good lad.
Not a Ford GT, not the more recent, but an actual, 1966 Ford GT40.
Like Mark II?
Yes, well done, well done.
Not the Mark IV. No one wants a
Not the
Mark
long
IV.
tail, not the early Lola one. No, the Mark II.
Yeah, I think. I mean,
Golf colours.
You know what? I don't care.
I think they look
yes.
rather good in road car trim, in sort of like silver or something. Actually,
It's a bit sort of
Golf
hardcore, isn't it?
colours,
Yeah.
a bit of a cliche.
Well,
White,
it's almost too
blue
much,
stripe.
isn't it?
White, yes, white.
Exactly.
Get it in white.
White,
A gold
white,
stripe or a blue stripe.
blue stripe, but yes, silver could work. Actually, I could go with that. I quite like the silver.
Anyway,
whatever it is, and again, it doesn't take much justifying. When you imagine a 60s racing car, an endurance racer, that's what your classic mid-engined Le Mans racer looks like. And
Electric car.
I want one of those. Yeah. Fifth car, I'm going to have a Bugatti Type 35, a classic 1920s racer, lovely, lightweight. I think it might have been the first car to have alloy wheels, in fact. These lovely, elegant, eight-spoked flat alloy wheels.
Yeah, famously terrible brakes on Bugattis, weren't there, I think?
Oh, yeah.
And the reason for this is...
there for going, not stopping. Victoria Bugatti.
But I reckon, some braided hoses and some AP calipers, do a whole sort of job on it. You could get that. I think they were cable brakes, weren't they?
They were cable brakes. I was going
Exactly.
to say, if you talk about sort of putting AP cables, why don't I just put neon lights under it?
Exactly.
And the wheels off a Caterham or a Westfield 7, that would do it, wouldn't it?
That'd work.
Yeah.
So I'm keeping this baby original and driving it very carefully. So as you know, I love Bugattis, and the Type 35, it's just right in so many respects. It just looks beautiful, and it won so many races.
Where would you take it, Zog? Would you go to a race, or would you go to an old circuit? Would you pay a homage?
No, you'd want to take it on a track at some point, but I think it'd just be a little drive in the country. Drive to Brooklyn. So anything would be a pleasure in that.
We're sounding old, aren't we?
Number 6, I'm going to have a Citroen Light 15.
Traction avant.
Absolutely, Traction avant, or the 11BL, or 11BL as it's also sometimes known.
11BL, I didn't know that.
And
why, Z? Where you wanted to be in the Anthill mob?
Surely they'd have had some kind of American thing. But anyway, it could be a Diva thing, because anyone who's seen the movie Diva, of course, a Light 15 makes a fairly significant appearance in Diva. It's a bit of a screen icon in all kinds of contexts, but because it was in production for so long, and because they look so good, and because they were so popular in France in particular, they're all over French films of the 50s. I'm
noticing a theme here, Z. I'm going to come to the theme at the end.
Okay, come back and see what you're pursuing. But I'm having a Citroen Light 15. It was also the first mass-produced front-wheel drive saloon.
Yeah.
Number 7, I'm going to have the car I've got right now, because it's done me so well over the last 5 or 6 years that I'm going to hang on to it. I might have all of the things fixed on it that could do with being fixed or slightly tweaked. So if it's going to the fancy garage, it's going to have a pretty good service. But I'm going to hang on to my 1987 Porsche 944 Turbo. I think it's an absolutely cracking car.
It is.
Then the 3 cars that are going in the garage to finish off my 10-car collection. Lamborghini Miura.
Oh! Aren't you worried about the front end lift at 160 miles per hour? You know about this, don't you?
I'm going to be laughing so hard at 160 miles an hour. I'm not going to be bothered about the front end lift. No, it's true. Yes, screaming and laughter at that speed.
That radiant green that they did.
Yeah, or a nice bright yellow. Yeah,
something jazzy though. Definitely,
just lovely Italian,
impractical
mid-engine.
If you licked it, would it taste like a Spangle? Oh, synthetic.
Sherbet dip, maybe. Then I'm going to have, and you're going to kick yourself if you haven't got this in your garage, Aston Martin DB4 Zagato.
Bubble back. In that olive green.
Yeah, in that sort of slightly metallic sort of version of sort of Aston Martin racing green, isn't it? And they just drop dead gorgeous. How can you make a car that gorgeous? I don't get it. When you think of it, you also think of the Ferrari 250 short wheelbase. There's a similar, but I think, I agree. And so I'm going for the Aston. And then last of all, another Bugatti, the 1937 Type 57 SC Atlantic. That really swoopy, beautiful. Yeah.
This looks like it could have been designed for Fritz Lang's Metropolis.
Yes, exactly.
It has a blade down the centre, a seam, does it not, over the rear canopy?
Yeah, there's a bit of seaming on it, and it's a very futuristic lines that actually have, lasted surprisingly well. So
I'm not dissing your choice, but I think I would find the rest of the world rather ugly and inelegant if I owned one of those. There's nowhere you could take it that wouldn't be a disappointment somehow. You know, you'd glide down to Monte Carlo expecting it to be like it was in 1934, and you'd find that, in fact, it's a rather vile place full of rich Russians now, and you'd go, oh...
I know what you're saying, but I will...
You'll take the risk.
I will live with the disappointment.
Imagine, I need to nip up to Brent Cross Shopping Centre or Blue Water, or I've just remembered I'm going to pull into Hilton Park Services in your Bugatti. It would be a constant disappointment.
I could just pop down the recycling bins with a couple of boxes full of glass to chuck in the bins. Yeah.
Zog,
so there we go. Those are my 10.
I love your top 10. Just run the headlines down again. I just want to see if we can draw a conclusion from this list. Go on.
No particular order, but I'm just going to read them in the order that I gave them before. Mercedes 450 SEL 6.9, probably a 976 or a 77.
Big saloon.
Volvo P1800E.
Sporting coupe of the 70s.
Well, 1971, very early 70s. Porsche 550 Spider, 1953.
Famous Star Killer.
Ford GT40 Mark II.
God, I wish I'd chosen that one.
Bugatti Type 35.
I know Zog was going to choose that one.
Citroen Light 15.
I should have guessed Zog was going to choose that one.
Porsche 944 Turbo, or 952 if we're being really sort of geeky about the fact numbers. Because the 951 would have been the left-hand drive 944 Turbo, but that's a right-hand drive 944 Turbo, which of course is a 952.
Lovely. Zog, I love you for that. That's fantastic.
Good, glad you like it. Lamborghini Miura.
Sorry.
Aston Martin DB4 Zagato. And a Bugatti 57 SC Atlantic.
Wowzer.
So what insight has that given you into my personality?
I'm looking at a strong movie influence there, I think, in the Porsche for James Dean, in the Mercedes and the Citroen as well, both movie influenced, I would suggest. And, of course, the final Bugatti could have been in a movie, couldn't it? It could have been in Things to Come by Alexander Korda, was it? The movies clearly influenced your car choice there.
Well, you say that. Actually, I think you're right that actually the Light 15 I first saw in films and fell in love with in films. Absolutely right. But the others actually not. No, the Porsche 550, you're quite right, there's that very strong, iconic James Dean connection, which is part of the appeal, undoubtedly.
And the GT40?
But it wasn't... GT40, that's just a racing thing, and it just looks so right, you know.
Beautiful. God, I enjoyed that. Did you enjoy that? I enjoyed that. I'm going to have a little rest, then we'll enjoy another list. I've got to just think about that for a minute. Oh. I'm here on the streets of the capital, and as you can hear, behind me the protests are becoming increasingly heated. Excuse me, sir, what is it that the people want?
We simply want an end to this ridiculous situation.
An end to the situation, what, with your Prime Minister or the government as a whole?
What are you talking about? The situation with Lotus. It's extremely confusing. You can't have two teams with the same name. Also, why has the green and yellow one got so many drivers? It's crazy. You know, in my country, Bahar is the word for a camel's anus.
Sniff Petrol with Gareth Jones on speed!
On Gareth Jones on Speed today, we're playing I'll Show You Mine If You Show Me Yours, and that is a list of 10 cars you would love to have in your garage. I've got to do mine because I can't contain myself any longer. I genuinely can't. All right, it's going to start. And this is funny how these things come out top of your head. You know, you start to write the list, just see what comes out.
Yeah.
I wrote it in no particular order. I started with the Bentley Continental Flying Star Superleggera.
Okay,
yeah, nice.
Which they're now... It was in the news a couple of weeks ago that they are... I say the news, like it wasn't at the news at 10 on the BBC. It's in car news that they're taking on extra staff and expanding the factory to make more of those.
One for me. If you don't know, this is a shooting brake version of the Bentley Continental built by Superleggera, who had a carrozziera. I think they're Swiss rather than Italian. I can't quite recall now.
I thought they were Italian.
Maybe they're Italian. I can't recall. As my two sons and Violet will tell you, whenever we're out driving and we see a Bentley, I go, Bentley! And my boys say that, Dad, you greet that car like it's an old friend. Oh, Bentley, my old friend. So I have a real
Bentley,
affection.
get us another bottle of port from the cellar.
Yes. I have a real affection for the contemporary Bentleys. I really do. And to have one that was a shooting brake would be my perfect car. I'd make me very happy. OK, next one. I bet you didn't see this coming. Grinnell Scorpion.
Oh, I didn't see that coming, actually. That's interesting. Three-wheeler.
Three-wheeler.
One wheel at the back.
Yeah.
and
a Yamaha, I think, 1100 engine.
Motorcycle engine, yeah. I wondered whether an Ariel Atom was going to make it onto the list. The Grinnell Scorpion.
Do the Ariel Atom Owners Club still listen to this show?
I don't know. Do you guys?
Tell us.
Do you? Can you hear us? My reason for the Grinnell Scorpion was I was presenting how, and someone sent me some stuff about the Grinnell Scorpion. I thought, what a fantastic how to do. But we couldn't really do it justice. Because the story I wanted to tell was, how could you make a three-wheeler stable? Because, as we know, the Reliant three-wheeler, one at the front, two at the rear, was really unstable, documented beautifully on Top Gear. Go around the corner, it can fall over. But turn it round the other way and it becomes a very, very, very good shape for a very fast, light car. And that's what the Grinnell Scorpion was. Big, fat rear tyre, low, light motorbike engine, big, wide front track. 2 seats, open top like a Caterham. A great idea for a car. I wanted to do it, but of course, how studio-based and really a thing like that you want to do out on the track to demonstrate the dynamics of it. You could do it with models, but we never did. So it was the how we never made. The Grinnell Scorpion. Love that car to this day. Okay, number 3. Lancia Delta HF Integrale Evoluzione 2.
That's the one that I knew was going to be on your list.
I'd forgotten. I'm predicting there may be more Lancias on the list.
Actually, there may be one or two more.
I think
but that's
a Y10, undoubtedly, and maybe a Dedra or two.
I don't maybe the Thema with the Ferrari engine. Was it a Thema?
I think you're straight.
Oh no, he's forgot that one.
That's actually on his list.
He forgot the Ferrari engine.
Did you forget it?
I'll come to that.
Okay.
I had the Lynx Aventa on here, and I crossed it out and put Mitsubishi Imiev. How modern am I?
Well, you're modern, but explain your thinking there, because I know that Lynx Aventa, your estate/shooting brake development of the Jaguar XJS, I know why you'd go for that. Why are you replacing that with the Mitsubishi Imiev?
I think because the Continental will satisfy my need for the shooting brake. I love the Lynx Aventa. It would have to be the one with the, what's it called, the AJ6 engine, Richard? Was that the right engine?
Yeah, as opposed to what, the V12?
Yeah. There weren't very many of them. But I think I'd rather have the Mitsubishi Imiev because of the dozens of really tiny journeys I absolutely have to do delivering my children places. And a little electric car would be great for that in the neighbourhood.
Gareth, you're assuming that within your 10-car garage that you still have exactly the same life you have now. I mean, presumably you'll be minted and you'll live on a huge estate somewhere.
It's a good point.
You won't have to take your children around. I mean, apart from anything
You'll
else...
have staff to do that, sure.
I think we would all have the problem. If we actually had these 10 cars, where would we keep them?
Well, in our fantasy garage.
My street.
We're talking about our 10-car fantasy garage. We've got a fantasy garage to put them in.
What is it they say? You can't have everything you want in life. Where would you keep it? Okay, next one. Because the Mitsubishi Imiev was an electric car, of course. I thought that was important to keep Bobby Llewellyn happy. Okay, next one. The Quasar motorbike of about 1974, I think. This was a feet-forward, almost fully enclosed British motorbike that was a sort of a shape of a rhombus, and it had a roof over you, rather like that BMW C2 or whatever it was called. But it was just so 70s. It looked like something that would have been designed by Derek Meddings for one of the Jerry Anderson series. That's what I thought. Motorcycle of the future.
Is it true to say that in the 70s 30% of all futuristic things were called quasar?
I think they probably were.
It sort of feels like it.
I eat quasar bars.
Exactly.
Play quasar, drive a quasar.
When they all play quasar.
Hello, welcome to ITV, welcome to Quasar.
Exactly. The quasar laser thing was sort of in the early 90s, I think.
Whoa.
But the other thing about, of course, all of these 70s quasar things is they probably all used the same typeface.
Yes.
The same one that sequential circuits used on their synthesizers.
Exactly that one.
The only downfall of the Quasar, which may take it off my list, would be the fact that it
falls down.
It does fall over, but it has an 850cc engine.
The Reliant engine.
It was the Reliant 4-block, which would have been terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's a very light engine. But anyway.
Yeah. Okay, this is the fantasy car. Long wheelbase, Lancia, Fedra, Ferrari. I've told you this before. When I went to San Marino, the Ferrari team turned up in red Lancia Zetas, which had BBR wheels and the Scuderia shield on the back. It was just the most attractive fusion. It was like
they'd been pimped Italian style, basically.
Yeah, it looked like a Lancia Zeta Integrale.
Isn't it something to do with Scientology? No, that's Xenu, sorry.
So that would be a Lancia Fedra long wheelbase, big enough to accommodate the kids. Okay.
Well, I've just remembered I've driven one of these. I've driven this shape of thing. Oh, bloody awful.
I'm sure they were, but in my universe, it would be fettled by Ferrari, Maserati,
Or Aston.
Well,
just
I
in
don't
case
know why
Ferrari and Maserati
yeah.
were busy.
We're too horrified by the idea and said no.
Maserati, actually. I'd like a
You've got to be kidding.
A Maserati MPV is what I really want there, to be honest. Okay. Lotus Evora S convertible. That's the new supercharged.
No, you see, I'm already thinking, why haven't I got a Lotus on my list?
Yeah,
but
there you go.
it's too late. It's too late.
You made a choice.
I did.
It's got a line in
Yeah.
it or something.
Or you've got to drive it up the road.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. The convertible's coming, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm on the list in my head.
I think
In my head.
I mean, no, the current generation of Lotus road cars...
Could be the last ever Lotuses, couldn't they?
Loved by all, except the current management of the company.
Yeah.
They are just lovely. So
Okay,
good choice.
Car 8, a silver, and I think the colour is important here, a silver Jensen Interceptor Series 2.
Oh, bumhole. I forgot about the Jensen Interceptor.
Oh! Or even an FF, to be honest.
Yeah, do you know what I've had?
Interceptor's
Do you
more
know
classic.
there's a company that now takes Interceptors and completely rebuilds them and puts a modern Chevy V8 in it, as they have in the Vauxhall VXR8, that engine, and completely modernises them. And they're brilliant. And, well, I don't know, I've not driven one, but they look brilliant. I would actually have an Interceptor SP. You know, the high performance one with the vents in the bonnet.
Yes, nice thought. I'd forgotten that. The SP.
Yeah, I think.
But
I could go for one of those.
the Jensen FF will surface again in Gareth Jones on Speed quite soon, actually. That's all I'm saying. Here's one. Yamaha TDM 850.
What?
A motorcycle, Richard.
Oh, okay.
It's a motorcycle. What you do is you take a car, but instead of giving it 4 wheels, you just have 2 wheels and you balance the engine in between them. It's a radical idea.
So it's kind of half as good as a car, is that?
That's what some people say, yeah. I think other people say it's twice as
two
good.
of those then, which means you have choice.
So, yeah, a TDM 850. I've ridden bikes for years. I haven't got a bike at the moment. If I had a bike, that would be it. It's just sporting, practical, but tall for driving in London. So you could see over the tops of cars, brake early rather than being down behind cars. A safe bike, the perfect bike for London, in my opinion. Always thought that. TDM 850.
No, good call.
And finally, a Gibbs Aquada.
Oh. What are
You're
you going to do
having
with that, then?
an amphibious car.
Yes, well you would,
Okay,
wouldn't you?
okay.
Because you could. Because then you could get in your car and you could drive down to Dawston. You've got to go to the BBC from North East London. You go to Dawston. You drive into the Regent's Canal there, and you just you go along and you get out at White City and you go to the BBC.
Where's the Regent's Canal near White City?
I was going to say, what
There's a road parallel. If you go north from White City,
is somewhere like Royal Oak?
It's Royal Oak?
No, well, Little Venice, basically. If you see, you come to
That's
Little
still quite
Venice, you
far
can come
away.
up.
you drive up. In London terms, think of all that commuting that it would.
So how
also
fast
make.
can you go on a canal?
I wouldn't
About
be in
5
any
miles
hurry
an hour.
because I'd still be going quicker than the traffic across
not
London,
sure you
which is 8 miles per hour, isn't it? The
Well, there you go.
official
You're
speed at the
going
moment.
slower then. You're going to be late.
But it's a straight line.
I'm going to have to say, I'm sorry Gareth's not here yet. He decided to take his Gibbs bloody Aquada again. And why, when he's got 9 other perfectly good things, including a motorcycle, and he could have been here in no time at all. For some reason, he's puttering
broken
down
down
the
on the
Canal.
Regent's Canal.
He's just clattered into a flock
But
of
he's
ducks.
having
The
a
AA
good
can't come out
time.
and help because they haven't
Don't
got
cover
any
boats. The amphibious
I was playing Thunderbirds. That's what I was doing. I really was.
There'd be an AA guy throwing tools to you from the bank of a canal, and
Your
shouting
kids going,
instructions.
Dad, where are we going on holiday this year? Please don't say it's France again, because we can't bear another cross-channel visit trip in the Aquada.
Here's my list again. Bentley Continental Flying Star Superleggera. Grinnell Scorpion 3-wheeler sports car. Lancia Delta HF Integrale Evoluzione 2. Mitsubishi i-MiEV electric city car. Quasar 70s motorbike. Look it up, it's fantastic. Lancia Fedra long wheelbase by Maserati. I've invented that one. Lotus Evora S convertible coming soon. Silver Jensen Interceptor, like Dave Hill from Slade had a Jensen CV8.
Did he?
Yeah, but for many years I believed it was an Interceptor. I'd misheard, and so I've always harboured a need for an Interceptor. I will have the Interceptor rather than the CV8. I know you have to have the registration Yob 2 or an FF, of course. Yamaha TDM 850 twin, to respect to the two-wheel option. I know we've had one before, but that was a gimmick, really. And the Gibbs Aquada, not a gimmick, a solution.
That's your story and you're sticking to it.
I loved it. Can't wait to hear yours, Richard.
Damen und Herren, willkommen to the celebration of 125 years of Mercedes-Benz. I am on stage here with the very latest Mercedes SLK, but sadly not the very first Benz patent motorwagen, which is still running and remains in use as a minicab.
Gareth Jones on speed.
What we're about to do, for me, feels a bit like opening someone's mind, looking deep into their head, or seeing their wish list for Christmas. What will we learn about Richard Porter when we ask him, Richard, name the 10 cars? I don't know why I'm doing this as Carl Sagan.
Here on Sesame Street.
Carl Sagan as
Keep Kermit the Frog.
your 10 cars in Richard Porter's Fantasy Garage.
Honestly, I could spend a week on this and still not have a list. But from 10 minutes of thinking, I'm going to start with
provisional
particularly
list,
my
list.
Jaguar XJR that I have at the moment. And I'm saying that because, you know, sometimes I think with cars, particularly older cars, you come and go with them a little bit, in as much as sometimes they're all right, but their faults and their flaws are prominent in your mind. And then sometimes you're just completely in love with them, and actually you're totally blind to any failings they have.
Yes,
Right
yeah,
now,
yeah.
I'm totally in love with my Jag. I'm taking it for service tomorrow, and when it ends up costing me an arm and a leg to get fixed up, I probably won't love it so much. But last weekend I had to go up to the northwest of England, and it was a beautiful evening on Saturday. I wasn't in any hurry to go anywhere, so I sort of took a long way round. I went for a real strop across the Cheshire Plain on some roads that I know quite well, and it was fantastic, and I haven't really done that with it before. And then it took me back down the M6 and M40 on Sunday evening, and the traffic was a bit rubbish, but it's a very relaxing way to get around. I just thought, I love this car so much it's almost impossible to express. So that's number one on my list.
A year,
Good call.
year and
Good
model.
Well, that one outside, so 99 XJR. That car, in fact, I already own it, so that's one off the list. It means I've only got 9 that I have to save up to.
I feel bad about not
buy.
including my Sora. Both of you have included your current cars.
Well, the next thing I'm going to have, just because I'd find it impossible to ignore. You see, what I've assumed, probably unlike you two, is that if I have all these cars, I am filthy rich, and I also have a much, much nicer house, and it's somewhere in the countryside. I thought, well, you know, it's a fantasy garage, so I also have a fantasy Georgian mansion somewhere as well.
Yeah, well, you
and
would.
so I've got a Range Rover. I don't want the supercharged one, because actually I find it a little bit stupid and pointless, and the suspension is too hard.
So not a sport.
No. Oh, God, not a sport.
Good lad,
Disgusting,
good lad,
no.
good.
But just your kind of sort of classic
Your
Range
classic Range Rover.
Rover.
Ideally,
Okay.
actually, the one from before they've just facelifted it, and they put those twinkly
Yeah.
lights in the front. I find it too bling. Just imagine that Jordan could drive one quite comfortably. Not Eddie, I mean like the hyper-knockered idiot. And so I just want one of actually pre-facelift, and with the TD-V8 engine in it, and I would be very happy. I just think that's an essential car. You would
Yeah,
find
that's a
yourself
good-
using it more than anything else, I
Green,
think.
sir? Green?
Yeah,
Probably
dark
would.
green. Dark green or dark blue, not
Quite
black,
right.
because that's a bit too, again, it looks like...
You might play
Labrador in the
football.
back,
Yeah.
perhaps. Pair of wellies.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I actually would.
Labrador-
Even if I am filthy rich, I'd probably buy one second hand and try and get a good deal on it, because it would be the one that you'd put the dogs and crap and all sorts in
Take
the
up
back
shooting.
of. Take up shooting. Yeah, I'm not sure I would actually, but it's nice to know I could, because I've got the car for it.
If I had a shot
could
straight,
shoot-
I'd be blasting away all the time.
I've been shooting working class people.
Well,
myself,
exactly. Shoot the poor from my Range Rover.
right.
So that's that. But then at the complete opposite end of the spectrum, I'm going to have a Lotus Elise S. Now, it's the one from
yes.
sort of... Which I'm not sure they make anymore. I think they fiddle with the range again. Run out of engines, I forget. I have been told that might have happened. But it's the base model. It's the one they brought in about 3 years ago with the Toyota engine, but it hasn't got the full Trixie variable cam timing on it, and it's much nicer because of it.
We have the supercharged.
Yeah, and a
yes.
supercharged one, again, I find too much. It's just like, it makes a whole load of noise, and it's just a bit too aggressive. The Elise, it's a delicate
It's about
little
sort of
sports car.
balance
It's
and about
exactly
getting you just right.
balance.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
And it's the best Elise
It's
I've
a
ever driven.
very
It's
good
And this is
That's a very,
the
very
car
good,
that will get closest to putting you physically in contact with the
Exactly.
ground with your
It's
fingers.
almost, it is deliberately... See, I put a bit of thought into this. It's the antithesis of the Jaguar and the Range Rover. Nice little simple sports car for beautiful
Yep,
days,
good call.
driving around the beautiful part of of the country that I now live in. I don't know where that would be, but it's clearly not here.
I heard you bought Kent for this kind of money.
So, next car, I'm assuming I've got a massive house, and so I've got room to not necessarily drive this car, but hang it on the wall, or at least have it installed in a room that I just go and sit in sometimes on my own. It's an Alfa Romeo Tipo 33 Stradale,
Yes.
which I still think is one of the best looking cars ever made.
As soon as I hang on the wall, I had this vision. I went to see an exhibition of Alfa Romeo
At the Science Museum, or the Design Museum, I can't remember, I think I went to the same thing.
This was, I think, at the Design Museum a few years before, but you're right.
This was a
They
one.
also had the Tipo 33 at the
No.
Alfa Design.
There was a Tipo 33 race car, but this was a road car, but they had the same V8 as the racing car. So apparently it's phenomenally highly strung.
Do we know the year?
And it just looks...
Roughly about 67, 68.
I remember when I saw that car in the flesh for the first time, I was absolutely knocked out. I was
Yeah, me
just
too.
bowled over by A, how achingly gorgeous it was, and B, just how timeless and really how modern it looked, because the lines are just so right and it's so...
It's a coupe. I
It's a
don't know the
beautiful
car. I'm
proportion.
confessing here. I
I'll
can't
show you-
visualise it.
I won't show you a picture of it now.
No
It's
bat
beautiful.
wings. No, it's just
No
a
bat
coupe.
wings. No,
It's
no,
so
it's-
pure, the shape is... And it looks 60s futuristic, but
In the Zog
in the
and
60s
Richard
it would have just looked incredibly futuristic
Yeah,
full
yeah.
stop, whereas now, you know, it looks like a vision of what the future would have looked like
In the
from
past.
40 odd years
Yeah.
ago. But no, it's beautiful. It's also probably, I don't know, there's something, it's incredibly sort of curvaceous in the right way. It
Yes,
is at the risk of sounding like Swiss Tony, it's like a beautiful woman, because it just, it's got hips and it's got tits.
Curves in
and
all
it's
the
just
right places.
Gorgeous.
Yes.
So I'd have one of those, but I wouldn't
Great
necessarily
choice.
drive it, because I don't know whether I'd want to be let down by discovering it's a bit of a to drive, and maybe I should just keep it in the pure white
That's a
room.
nice idea.
You just look at it every now and again.
But the thing is, I've got 10 cars. I mean, it's going to be a
Park it
struggle
by
to
the
keep them
swimming
all
pool.
going anyway. Exactly,
Yeah.
by the pool. Now, one that is from the real realms of fantasy, but which I would try and use at least once before I realised it was impractical, is Bugatti Veyron.
No, would you go for the
I would,
Veyron?
you know what? I've come back and forth on this, but I would have the Super Sport one they've just announced, because this seems to be the ultimate of the ultimate.
In your colours.
It's in... Well, I mean, I suppose you could have it how you want. I don't know. I quite liked the ones that they announced it with, which was sort of very dark grey and orange, because I quite like orange, as anyone who's ever looked at Sniff Petrol. No.
Exactly your colours.
So, I see, right. I thought you meant like, okay, yeah, not
No.
like good racing colours I'd decided,
No.
but which would probably be that anyway.
Yeah.
Now you mention it. It's the ultimate, why not? And I probably would drive it once, and it would just go, oh, well, I can't use this in...
For the absurd performance
Well, that's the thing.
that it has, you know, it is by all accounts a remarkably
assume
practical and easy car to
I
drive.
really
it's
am
remarkably
into
small for
use it every day. It is quite small. It's true. Yeah, yeah.
When you know, for what it is.
Hang on.
Yeah.
If it is the ultimate, have it for that reason, why haven't you got Thrust SSC or Bloodhound on there then?
Because what I absolutely adore about the Veyron is exactly what Zog has highlighted, is the fact that just one day it happened to be the one that was closest to the garage door, and you were just nipping out to get milk and a newspaper and stuff, and you could take the Veyron. That's what I mean. Genuinely, you could.
Yeah.
I presume that if you left it for a while, you need to keep it on a trickle charger, but thereafter, I imagine it starts first time. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
been
sure it
durability tested in the same way that a Polo or a Golf is, and everyone goes out to their Golf every morning and assumes it will start first time, and it will. So
I
a
believe
Veyron
it's
will
become
too.
the car of choice by the Wolfsburg Council members. They drive, it's the official Wolfsburg Council car.
And just the last thought of that maybe is the thing that is fantastic about the Veyron really is just the scale of the engineering achievement. To make it do what it does, and as reliably as it does it, is really astonishing engineering. As a fan of old Bugattis, you know, when somebody announces a new Bugatti, you used to think, oh, well, this is just attaching a badge to a VW and badge engineering. This isn't Bugatti. You know, absolutely forgiven. No, they've done it right. They've done a magnificent job. It's a
High praise
It's a
on-
great car.
Yeah.
Great car.
Well,
High
that's the
praise.
thing, and I think the engineering is interesting. I've never driven one, but I don't think maybe it would give you even the driving pleasure that an Elise would for as much of the time that you drive it,
Yeah.
because a lot of the time it's frustrating driving ultra-high performance cars because you can't use their ability. However, I haven't got this on the list, but I reserve the right to flog the Veyron after 6 months and buy a Ferrari 288 GTO, which isn't on my list, but would be if
Okay.
the Veyron goes. So my next car, again, from the extreme to something which used to be very affordable, and now the prices of these things are going madly out of control. An original Mini Cooper S in almond green with a white roof. And I...
Mini light wheels.
Yeah, absolutely. All of that. Everything you imagine about this car is just one of those, because they're still a joy.
Had he had
Absolutely.
Kirk
Do you know
drive
how
it
much
for
they're
you?
going for? It is crazy. They're into
on.
the teens now, and some
Really?
like rally prepped ex-works ones are going 25 grand plus. They're
Really?
Old Minis generally, even a slightly scabby old Mini City E from 1987 will get 4 figures easy if it's vaguely usable. Old minis, because I guess so many of them have rotted, have become incredibly collectible all of a sudden.
And maybe people are just realising that, actually there is something really wonderful about that.
Exactly.
About a car that is that mini,
Yeah.
unlike the newer ones,
gives
which are
you-
great cars
yeah.
in their own way, but they're not super compact.
They're not even compact. They're not super
Yeah,
compact.
yeah.
The current flock.
I'll move quickly on. Just another. I've seen quite a lot of British cars on here.
Not surprised.
But yeah, we talked about this earlier before we started recording. The Jaguar XJC that Steed had in the new Avengers, the broad speed one with the big fat arches on it and no bumpers.
The big cat, they called it.
Yeah, I'd have one of those. Now
This
they
was a
only made
Jaguar XJ6 two-door
I think it
coupe.
was a 12, possibly.
12, it would have been the 12. But the two-door coupe
with
version
fat
of that.
arches
Yeah, very
and
rare.
just looked like a touring car, but it wasn't. It was just a one-off. They built it. I think it sort of weirdly disappeared sometime in the 80s. I don't know where that car is now. It was a one-off. However, there's a company called KWE who do sort of modernised XJSs and 70s and 80s Jags, and I spoke to the bloke who owns it about something else, and he said, yeah, we could build you a replica of one of those, find a nice sound XJC, and we'll have a crack, but it would cost you about 100 grand. But as we've established,
It's a
I am
fancy
now,
garage, so
in
you
this
could-
fancy world, massively wealthy. So that is what I would do with my money. I'd have something made, not quite as fantasy as Gareth's, but it would be something that is, unique.
You would
Nice,
need to be
nice.
fantastic with your cash, because the problem is finding an XJ coupe
Yes, and meant
that
to
doesn't
do-
bend in the
that's
middle.
That's
Yeah.
the fantasy element.
Carbon fibre reinforcement.
Yeah,
You
they
can't-
can
can't
fix
stop
it up
that.
now. That's the thing. I think they probably could. Now, the thing is, the next one is a bit of a cheat, because I've just written a Group B rally car. I don't care which one.
That's okay.
RS200.
Well, yeah, RS200 is the only one I've driven, and I did find it
Have you
fantastic.
driven it?
Yeah.
Oh, I bow
But
before you.
It was
Richard.
actually took a while to get into because it's quite
Nice.
hard work. And I was wearing a new T-shirt that I bought only the previous week. It was green, and when I finally got out of the RS200 and got home and took my T-shirt off, my whole torso had gone green where my sweat had soaked the colour out of the brand new T-shirt. That's how much
And you-
hard work it was.
You probably stained the seats as
Exactly,
well.
yeah, it was crazy. But I've always had a real admiration for the Peugeot 205 T16.
Yeah.
And I've always had a real admiration for the Metro 6R4.
Yeah.
It's something different.
Yeah.
And I've always had a real admiration for the Lancia Delta S4 because of that. They all got merit, which is why I couldn't write them down.
Nice.
Even an outside chance an Audi Quattro Sport. So I don't know. I couldn't choose. So a Group B rally car, I'll have one.
Nice idea.
If we were allowed a fancy garage of 14, then I'd just have 4 Group B rally cars, maybe 5.
And we'd be able to hear you coming from about 2 miles off if you had any of those
Now,
cars.
so much wastegate flutter going on in the area wherever I live.
Did you enjoy that sound
Hang on,
effect?
That was
actually,
good,
wastegate
actually,
fun.
yeah.
Is this from the driver or the engine?
Probably both, actually. I'm going to have a Fiat 500 Twin Air just because other people go, you're killing the environment, you swine. I can go, no, I'm not. Look at this. This is what I use all the time. Because you probably would in the end. Yeah. That and a Range Rover. You'd be driving all the time. And I've also got the Fiat because I want to offset my final choice, which isn't strictly a car. It's actually a Gulfstream G6 private jet. which,
You're right, that isn't a car.
it's not. I've checked, and it's definitely not.
definitely- yeah.
However, I quite like going to other countries, but I really hate long-haul flying. In particular, I just find it really boring, and no amount of in-flight entertainment, and even being in posh cabin and stuff, can really offset the fact I get very antsy. But I like to think if I had my own plane, it would make it more enjoyable.
So you didn't go for the Lear then?
No, I gather the G6. According to a song that was in the pop charts recently, the G6 is, I think, the one to have at the moment.
Which song would that be? I want
There's
to
a song
know.
called Fly Like a G6. Have you not heard that?
No, I have not.
Oh, well, you're not as hip with the kids as I am.
If I'd known we were allowed aircraft, I think I'd have an airship of some kind.
Oh, imagine that, yes. Yes, you could
I'm
keep
going
it
to
at
cruise
Cardington.
in luxury style in my 21st century Zeppelin.
I'd have a VS22 Osprey and park it on the roof of Speed Towers.
I knew there was finally a
Yeah, you
choice I
started
had which
something
you'd be
here.
very jealous of, and it's the fact that I've got a private jet.
Richard wins. You've been listening to Gareth Jones on Speed with the winner, Richard Porter.
Goodbye.
The other winner, Zog.
Goodbye.
And me, because I loved all 30 of those cars. Can I have a bigger garage next time? See you guys.
To send us an email, see pictures, get song lyrics, join our Facebook fan site or follow us on Twitter, go to garethjones.tv. Gareth Jones on Speed is made in London by Whizbang.
Gareth Jones on Speed!